Good afternoon, everyone. You're watching a live broadcast with me, with the Raichura. It's that time of the week, Sunday afternoon. Let's chat with Priti Raichura. Thank you all very much for joining me here live on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube and all the other social media platforms. It's always very exciting for everybody. When we have these live chats, because I always get very excited, because I always get excited about introducing you to my guests. And today I have a very special guest that's going to be joining us, Sonal Dove. She is not only a toastmaster, she's a celebrant, she's a singer, she's an actor. Oh my gosh, that's just a little bit of it. But we're going to ask her to join us very, very shortly, if I can connect her to this screen, which I can. And of course, just bear with me, because I'm not technical, as you all know. I just blag it that I am, but I'm not really. There we go. He's the wonderful lady herself. Hi, Sonal.
Hi, Priti. So happy to be here with you.
Yes, I know. Thank you so much. A very warm welcome to you on this Sunday afternoon on the Let's Chat with Priti Raichura show. A very warm welcome, and it's such a pleasure to have you here with me. I know that we've been talking for we've been talking for a few years now, and we've met virtually, and we've had chats every now and then, whether it's to do with clients or functions. But he's a virtual hug, so I'm going to give you a virtual hug. How's things in London this afternoon? Is it very cold there?
It's a bit weary, actually. There was a little bit of rain earlier. I'm just looking that way because that's where the garden is. There's a little bit of rain earlier, which has been a little bit annoying because we have 2 dogs. So normally happy to put them in the garden and let them play. So if you do suddenly hear any woof woof or barking, it's not my husband, it's the 2 dogs. Just
I hope he didn't hear that bit, because I think if it was my husband, I think he'd come and beat me up. But it's such a pleasure to have you here, here this afternoon. Now, Sonal, for the benefit of all the people that are joining us here live, and a very warm welcome, first of all, to everybody that's joining us live as well. Just tell me a little bit more about yourself. I've tried to give you an introduction of all the wonderful things you do, but I didn't want to undersell you, because you do some amazing things. Just tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So welcome everyone that's joining as well, and Priti, thank you. It's an absolute honor being on here, because you've had some amazing guests, so to actually be here as well is just brilliant. So as Priti's mentioned, I am a toastmaster and a celebrant. I'm also a public speaking expert. I'm a magistrate. I do some acting, some singing, and voluntary work through an organisation called Shishakunj, which is based across the globe, and also another organisation called SKSN, which is in Jodhpur, and that's a school for children with polio. So my voluntary and my charity work is very much around children.
Wow, that's wonderful. Gosh, you've got so many different roles, from being a celebrant to a toastmaster, a public speaker, and I know all the wonderful work that you do around. You host lots of public speaking seminars with children as well, because I've seen that, and you're such an inspirational role model. I mean, that's just wonderful that you do so much, and the fact that you do so much with young children is really, really nice, because not many people can do that. So there must be something very, very special about you, which I'm going to try and find out today through our chat. But first of all, what's actually the difference between a toastmaster and a celebrant?
So that's actually a question that I'm often asked by people, because they are not very typical Asian type careers and roles. So I'll start with a toastmaster. The history behind the toastmaster is it goes back many, many years, and it was very much a white gentleman, usually elderly, who would make announcements, who would bring in the royalty, or bring in the kingsmen of the country, or announce dinner was on. And then over the years, it's kind of changed. So a toastmaster now not only makes announcements, they also look after the couple, They'll make sure with the wedding planner things are going to time. If they spot that there's a knife missing on a table, they might just nudge the caterer and say, knife. So the way I look at them is they're kind of they're the front spokesman for any event, whether that's a wedding, corporate event, a charity event, an auction, any type of event that has an element of gravitas. So just to kind of lift the event and make it that extra more special. And I suppose the beauty of me being a toastmaster is મને થોડું ગુજરાતી આવે છે. So I can also explain things in Gujarati as well. And then when you come to a celebrant is quite a new role in the United Kingdom. So it stems from Australia, and then it came across the USA into Europe, and it's now in the UK. So a celebrant conducts ceremonies. Currently in the UK, unfortunately, it's not legal, but the Law Commission is looking at that, and we're hoping that the proposals are going to change that. But we basically will conduct ceremonies. So that's wedding ceremony, naming ceremony, a renewal of vows, it could be a funeral, it could be a memorial service. So any type of ceremony through your life, that's where a celebrant comes in.
Okay. So have you had some formal kind of training qualifications for, to be a qualified toastmaster and a celebrant?
Yes, so I've trained for both, and I have passed the tests that were required for both, but I also do continuous training in both as well, because as I'm sure you're aware, Brittany, in the events industry, things change all the time, as we know. 30.
Don't we know? Oh, don't we know? I don't normally dress like this on a Sunday, but look, here, I've just come back from the last 30 guest wedding before we went live. So we had a wedding on this morning, and oh my gosh, 30 people, now down to 15 from tomorrow. I mean, what a shame. I'm just hoping that the government will listen to, all the people from the events industry that have been making lots of noise, kind of hope that things will change, because I think the argument is that if we can go to pubs and restaurants with unlimited numbers almost, then why can't we have a wedding, with 100, 200 people? I mean, an Indian wedding, having 15 people, that's not even your direct family for the extended families. You've got mom, dad, bab, bapuji, all your siblings, and that's it. That's just crazy. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's thought through, and I'm hoping things will change, because I'm sure, Sonal, you've come across lots of couples recently that have been extremely anxious because of all the changes in legislation recently. And like you just said, it's really nice to know that you're also there to support the wedding planners to keep the couple calm on the day, because they do get a little bit nervous, don't they?
Oh, definitely. And like sometimes the wedding planners in the background trying to make sure everything's ready, exactly where it should be, it's on time. Any guests that are arriving late get ushered to where they get to. So at least a wedding planner knows that there's another safe pair of hands, just to make sure the couple are okay, and if they need to sneak to the bathroom before they make their grand entrance, or whatever it is that they need, that we're there to help as well. What you said, Brittany, then about the whole 15 now from tomorrow. I was having an interesting conversation with a couple whose wedding has already been postponed to April next year. And if the 6-month rule, as is being suggested, continues as at 15, that takes us into March next year, and their wedding's in April. So we've already been having discussions. We've already got them to bring their numbers down to 120 from 350. How do you bring that down to 15? How?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, we were
with a formula for us. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's hard enough to organize a wedding. Well, I say hard enough, it's a pleasure for people like yourself and me. But, when you're working with the clients that have never actually been married before, don't have the experience in bringing, suppliers together, coordinating how their day will be. And then, you bring this whole thing together, and over, say, a year, and then it's hard enough to try and cancel the wedding and then plan it again for a date without knowing what the future holds. So, my heart goes out totally to all those couples and to the suppliers at the moment, because the suppliers too are struggling. I mean, Sonal, when that you and I and all the suppliers that we work with, we are trying to work with our couples to say, don't worry, we will reschedule, and we try and meet that, don't we? Because that's what we were talking about just before we went live, and that's what you were talking about, that although you've rescheduled this appointment, the wedding date for your couple for next April, we just don't know, because nobody has got any answers. Even the government hasn't got any answers. In fact, the government did initially say that, come October, things will be back to normal again.
Exactly. And I think the difficulty here for couples and families that I'm talking to is they're saying to me, well, I don't want to make this a political agenda today. But
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I can go to the pub and celebrate birthdays, but I can't actually celebrate the most special day in my life.
Yes, I know.
And we don't have an answer for them, do we? We just don't have an answer for them.
Absolutely, I know. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And all I can say is to the people that are joining us at the moment, just watch this space, because I think things will progress. And I certainly do believe that people from the industry will be in the next few weeks. I've already heard, and, we are going to try and do something to try and lobby the government to make some changes. But this isn't about the government today. This is all about, it's all about when, things start to normalize. And well, even now, in terms of your role as a celebrant and a toastmaster, you've said that you have formal training, and I've got someone who's just messaged right now, but I'm not going to read it off the screen, because we've got lots of people that I'm going to read it off my phone, because it's just come through on here. Let me just put that under the light there. It just is asking, and this message has come from Priya Patel. She's saying, I've only just graduated, where can I go for formal training, is what she's asking, to be maybe, I don't know, Priya, is that for a toastmaster or a celebrant? So yeah, where can she go? So a new graduate, Priya Patel, asking that question.
So maybe I'll answer both those questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as a Toastmaster, there is the National Association of Toastmasters. There's also the English Toastmasters Association. I'm trained by the English Toastmasters Association, and you can usually tell if they're official, accredited and insured, because they'll have a collarette with a badge, and on the badge will be the association. With the Celebrant, you also have the National Association of Celebrants. There's something called the Celebrant Directory, where there's the Academy of Modern Celebrancy. So there's definitely a couple of places out there where you can go and train. My advice would be email all of them, see who actually takes the time to reply, have a conversation with them on the phone, see who you connect with personally, you get a good vibe from, and then based on that, take it forward. Don't just jump in and go to the first person that you contact. There's quite a few out there, and it's got to be the right place for you. I'll also just get the opportunity to add in about Toastmasters. So there's the Toastmasters like myself who are at events, and Bricky Ben, you'll know about this as well. There's Toastmaster organisations that are about teaching people how to speak in public and develop your public speaking skills. So just to be clear, they're two very separate things, but they can sometimes merge, because people from the Toastmasters organisations teaching public speaking, they may choose to become a Toastmaster for events. Right,
okay. And going back to you just mentioned about public speaking, and you run seminars around public speaking. And I know that, they're not just for children. I've seen you doing a lot of work with children, and I know we just spoke about that at the start. But what about communication between couples? And sometimes, you and I have probably heard this all the time, and especially if you've got friends that are maybe not married, or maybe searching for their ideal partner, and sometimes they can be a little bit disheartened when they can't find their ideal partner, and they start asking questions. Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the way I'm talking? Is it the way I come across? And we've probably all come across people that we think, oh my gosh, I can't hold a conversation with this person. What kind of advice can you give to individuals like that?
So my first piece of advice is, if you can't find somebody to marry, it's okay. It's really okay.
Absolutely. I hope your husband really isn't there. We've got Naish saying, so she's just said she made me laugh, and she put that comment on right at the start when you said that if the dogs are barking, it's not my husband, it's the dogs, and that's what she said. So actually, Naish, you're looking, and because she's actually been in touch with you, said, look, Sonal, there's somebody here who's looking for a groom. I'm sorry to embarrass you, so Naish, but that's Naish Chandrana who's with us, and she's like, I think you're about 25, aren't you? And she's looking for a groom. So look, there you go. She's someone we can help through our little black book if you have fun.
Definitely. The next important thing, age is just a number.
Yeah.
Don't just get married to the first person that's nice to you.
Yeah.
I myself, as an example, didn't get married till I was in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult for family because I saw my sisters all getting married, but I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I wasn't finding the right person.
Yeah.
When you're, and I'm taking this from personal experience, when you're in a relationship where it's comfortable, you're not afraid to say no.
Yes.
You're not afraid to say, actually, I don't want to go to the pub today. I'd rather sit at home and watch Netflix. If you're in a relationship where you can be honest with each other, that's worth pursuing. If you find that you're having to be extra nice and go, yes, okay, run a mile, please run a mile, take my advice. Because the thing about relationships and today's society is it's hard. You know, both partners end up having to work because everything costs money. If you don't find somebody who gets your passion and your skills, so Bricky Ben, our passion and skill is events. We can be out from 5 in the morning and back home at 4 a.m. the next day. If your husband doesn't like that or doesn't like what you do, you're in trouble from day one. So really, you know, and this might be a bit controversial for some people who might be watching, but ask those controversial questions. See how your potential boyfriend, partner, you know, responds to them. Because if you can't have clear, confident communication without fear, that's not the right person for you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Your lifetime partner needs to be kind of like your best friend and somebody that you're, you know, extremely comfortable with, you know, and sometimes even those silent moments are supposed to be comfortable. So, you know, going back to kind of communication, because that's kind of, you know, what you specialize in. I've been around people, and I'm sure you have, where you sit there and you're really trying to communicate with them, and you're like, you know, I can see, you know, I mean, Sonal, you're a very jolly person. You know, when we speak, we can probably go on for hours and hours and hours, because I kind of talk, and I think you do. So, and you probably have to say, shut up. But sometimes when you're trying to make a conversation with people, you'll be like, hi, how are you? How's your day? And blah, blah, blah. Good, you know, and it's a yes and a no, and then they sometimes wonder why they themselves, there's nothing wrong with them, but they sometimes wonder why they cannot communicate effectively. So do you give kind of one-to-one kind of advice to those kind of people if they wanted it?
Definitely I do, because I think there's various reasons why somebody may be shutting down and giving one-word answers. And there is an art to getting them to open up with open questions. And even if they said, you know, you said, how was your day? And they say, good, you know, you could say, oh, so what made it good? So you've kept it open. If you then, if they go good and you go, okay, so you've just shut the conversation down. So there are skills and tactics that you can use. But let's flip it over here, Pretty Ben. Why might they be saying that? Why might
Well,
they be
yeah, I
feeling
mean, maybe, yeah, and that's a very interesting question. I mean, they, especially at the times that we're in at the moment, lots of people are suffering right now because they've been isolated for so long. There's a lot of mental health issues at the moment as well in terms of bride and grooms. Weddings are getting cancelled left, right, and centre, being postponed. Nobody actually knows what's going on, and it's that unknown which makes sometimes people feel uncomfortable in not being allowed that flexibility. So I think that's definitely thrown a dagger in the way for certain people. But you're right, if someone does just shut off that conversation, maybe they need somebody to talk to. Maybe they need that listening ear, don't they?
Definitely.
And that's what. So does that mean you also have, because you've got so many different hats on, does that mean you're also a counsellor?
So I'm not a counsellor in the qualified sense.
Okay.
However, I have communication expertise. I've also recently been studying mental health in adults and the workplace, and also mental health in children. So bringing that together with my communicating with confidence public speaking work is basically tipping the balance into the world of well-being. So I wouldn't call myself a counsellor theory, but I'm definitely a counsellor in practice, i.e. I have been through struggles through my own life. I've had my own health issues. I've had my own roller coaster in life, and I often use my own examples to help people to understand what might be happening in theirs. But also, when you look at an individual and you actually start kind of do what I call the storytelling exercise, where you go back to what's happened to them, you'll see triggers that happened to them, whether it was in school, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was in a family home, that often make them who they are today. And sometimes you need to realise that, accept that, and then move on. But if they've not had a chance to do earlier things, they're almost stuck in a little place, and they just don't know how to, unlock the key and walk through the door. And that's where I use a lot of my skills, my toolkit, to kind of help them through the doors so that they can see the sunshine again and just move on into place.
That's amazing. And I guess those skills you can apply to any situation once you've got those skills, because in terms of like confidence, what you just mentioned, the word confidence, nobody's actually born with confidence. It's practiced, isn't it? Sometimes people, I'm sure you get asked this all the time when you're doing, when you're running your courses, or when you're standing there as a toastmaster making those announcements. I mean, people will often ask me the same question, saying, how can you just talk on the radio, and how can you stand there and talk to lots of people? And we all get nervous, and we all experience that, because it's actually part of human behavior. But none of us are born with it, and I think that's a really important point. That we're actually humans, just like everybody else.
Well, I often, I've in a couple of sessions that I've done recently, it's the one thing I do always point out throughout the sessions, that we are human. And being human, if you don't get nervous, and if you don't have an element of fear, then you're kind of not human.
Yeah.
The human factor's disappeared. I often get asked the question, how can you do a talk without ums and ahs? Well, if ums and ahs are what feel natural, that's okay. Just don't do it all the time. Can you imagine? Ben, that would annoy people, right? But if I was having a conversation with you and I just dropped in, actually, that's okay. It's all right. It's not nothing to be too worried about, but it's people. I think what's happened, and again, and I think society has a big part to play in this, is there's almost, they put out this perfect person, This perfect
Yeah.
person who's glamorous all the time, who speaks well, who never ums and ahs, who's never nervous, who's never has a fear of judgment or criticism. Wow, I want to meet that person.
Yes, yeah. And nobody does. You're absolutely right. You know, look, there's me now. I mean, you know, so everybody, you're right. You know, there I go. You know, we all have our own ways of communicating, and we're not born with it. And by going on the courses that you run, you obviously have courses for adults and for children, and they can learn these communication skills without umming and ahhing, like I just was, but also kind of being able to stand in public and make announcements.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of it does go with practicing. You know, I call it the 3 Ps. So there's preparation, there's planning, and there's practice. If you think you can just jump up on a stage and talk about neuroscience when you're a retail assistant, it's not going to happen. So whatever you're going to talk about, prepare, plan, and practice. And that will definitely help you with whether it's a presentation. It even helps you if you've got to have a difficult conversation at home.
Yes.
You know, don't just when your partner walks through the door, start having that difficult conversation. You know, let them walk in, take their coat off, their shoes off, wash their hands, give them a cup of tea, tell them dinner will be ready in half an hour, and then ask you a difficult question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I've got a few other questions just coming up, so I'm going to go to them that are coming through live. So we have Sushma Majiti saying, I think it's just luck if you find Mr. or Mrs. Right. It's just a gamble. She's saying she too is single. This actually is a dating program. I'm sorry if you thought it was. This is not. But you know, maybe Sonal and I can come back and maybe we can find you your ideal partners. Hey ho, you never know. Just because in terms of the work that we do come across people, don't we? We're always at events. We're at big events, and sometimes people do say, "Ke oh mari dikri nu karvanu che, ke mara dikra nu karvanu che, koi saro chokro hoy to kevrao cho." You know, so Sushma, we send your details. We'll put it in the little black book, and you never know. You never know. Sonal may have someone for you.
And Sushma, honestly, trust me, I met loads of people who said to me, "Oh, he's the perfect partner for you." But I just knew my gut feeling. My gut was telling me, "Nah, wrong person." And it was only when I met, my now husband, that it was like I felt a different gut feeling. Can't even explain it, but it was just different.
It's that kuch hota hai feeling. Isn't it? The whole kuch hota hai feeling. Which brings me on to, you're a singer as well, aren't you? You're a singer. Is it Bollywood songs you sing?
I sing Bollywood. I sing bhajans. I sing English. I sing Guju, Hindi. I sing a bit of everything.
There you go.
Keeps me.
Sorry?
I sing whatever keeps me busy and entertained.
Entertained, busy, and I should say out of trouble, no doubt. Going back to the messages, Sushma is saying, I have seen many marriages break up because the Mr. or the Mrs. has a fling with somebody else. Well, I can't really comment on that. I mean, these things happen with everyone, I guess. It's just one of those things. And somebody once said to me, Sonal, that a marriage is a bit like a business. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And I think that's probably true. So if the Mr. or the Mrs. decides to go off on one, I think you've also got to look at, is there issues within that marriage? Which takes me back to communication between a couple. Planning a wedding, planning an event. Let's take a wedding, for example. It can become very, very stressful for the couple. Sometimes they can't agree everyone, whether they want 15 people, 30 people, or 300 people at their weddings. And that in itself can cause issues. You and I have probably seen people split up before they've even managed to get married. So again, communication is vital, isn't it?
It so is, and I find through my event work, I almost end up being a mediator a lot of the time, because you're trying to mediate between the couple and then the sasul, and then the masi, and everyone else wants to include whatever their wishes are, and sometimes they forget the couple. But coming back to the whole couple thing, and couples breaking up, there are always reasons for couples breaking up, and it usually, not always, but usually stems from either they were never meant to be together, or the communication has stopped somewhere. And sometimes that can be because you just get too comfortable. You get too comfortable in your environment. Sometimes compromise, that you're not prepared to compromise. No, this is my way. It's my way or the highway. And what then happens is these little niggly things start turning into mountains that turn into, big mountains. And then at some point they'll just erupt. So it's almost like as soon as something starts to go wrong, you've got to nip it in the bud then. If you just wait it, it's not going to happen. You've got to sort it straight away.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've come across it. In fact, I've recently come across it as well. So, with couples, and especially with the situation that we're in, and with the families getting involved, and from the planning point of view, we've got to find a happy medium, which then brings me on to another question for you, Sonal, because I know that people that are joining us now probably want to know what is the difference between my role as a wedding planner and your role as a celebrant, or even a toastmaster, I should say. Of course, you make announcements, but you've actually written an article on this, which I have actually read. I think it must have been about 6 months ago or about a year ago. And I don't know where I read it, but it was very interesting. It was a great article which described the role of a toastmaster and the role of a planner. Now, you said that if the cutlery isn't right, you'll go and nudge the caterers and say, hang on a minute, that's not right. But the planners also do that on their day. The coordinator also does it on the day. But our roles are very different as well. So I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to get you to go into it because you're my guest here today.
So it's quite interesting because you're right, the planner and the toastmaster, or even celebrant roles, do kind of merge a little at some point. But the key thing I would say is that you as a planner get involved much earlier than I do. Whether that's 2 years before, a year before, 6 months before, whatever it is, you get involved right at the beginning. You are with the couple and the family from the beginning. And then at some point, the toastmaster or the celebrant will be brought into the equation for the planning. So at that point, I, as the toastmaster or celebrant, would then work with the couple to make sure I understand what their vision is, who's saying what, who's doing what, and at what time are these things happen. I can check against you as the planner's timetable to make sure we're both got the same details. I have found in the past what the couple tell me and what the couple tell the planner are two different things. So just an opportunity to make sure that we're all in the same position. Now let's get to the day of the event. So the day of the event, the planner's probably there from 5 in the morning. The event's due to start at 10. I'll arrive at 9 o'clock. I'll arrive at 9, check in with the planner, wander around, make sure I know the layout of what's happening at the venue. Importantly, where are the toilets? Very, very important thing for me to be aware of. And then I will be ready. So as soon as the guests arrive, the planner is still making sure everything is as it should be. And possibly even with the couple, just to make sure that the couple is ready. I will greet guests, I will invite them in, I'll direct them to where they need to go to, whether it's bathrooms or, you know, the drinks at the beginning, whatever it is that's happening, I will do the direction. I will make sure that the families and the guests and everyone move to where they need to go to. And the reason I can do that with ease is I'm in a uniform. So I've got my red uniform or my black uniform, depending on what the couple want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so people know just by looking at the uniform, she knows what to do. She knows where I should be. She knows where this is. So you almost are that point of contact, central point of contact, who's visible. So one, I would definitely say as well, the other key thing, and some planners don't like it when I say this, but hey ho, communication is key. Yeah, communication is key. Planners tend to be in the background. A toastmaster is at the front.
At the forefront, yeah.
It doesn't stop a planner being at the front.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop a toastmaster being at the back.
Yeah.
But
it's about how you work it out as well before the event and I guess on the event. And when you know that you've got a toastmaster and I guess an event planner or wedding planner, we work it out, don't we? We know our roles. And we know that, you know, I know if I'm going to have the wonderful Sonal Ben there at my event, I know that I don't have to do the whole master of ceremonies and make all the announcements because I know you're there and I can do all the other work. And it's always a pleasure to work in that way because it's like what you said, it's an extra pair of hands, isn't it?
Yeah, and an important thing is, for example, we know that things do go wrong, right? Things do go wrong on the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much planning you do, whether it's an accident on the M25 or somebody drops the main bottle of champagne, you know, tipples over the cake and oops and all of that. So you as the planner, you would go and sort all that out.
Okay. Yeah.
You might say to me, Sonal Ben, I need to go and sort out an emergency. Can you just make sure X, Y, and Z sorted?
Yeah, absolutely.
Work together. Or likewise, you might be that end and you need to go something at that end. So the important thing is, although we've got different roles, there's nothing wrong with us merging and working together as well. And do you know what? I love it when a wedding planner gets that and we work together. It just makes the whole day so much smoother and we have so much fun as
absolutely. We actually have a priest on as well. We have you may have already worked with this priest, Ravi Shastri from London. He's saying very interesting. And yes, it is interesting because of course the role of the priest also is there to make sure that the crowd control and Ravi Shastri works. I mean, you know, his work too is absolutely wonderful. I've seen and I've had the pleasure of working with him as well. So in terms of the crowd control, in terms of the way he controls the crowd, and the way he communicates with the guests is brilliant and spot on. So thank you also to Ravi Shastri for joining us. And he's just saying it's a very interesting conversation. And I guess that's key, isn't it, Sonal Ben? That as long as the planner and the Toastmaster have sorted it out, and of course the third person we would also communicate with is the priest. So let's not forget the priest. Which brings me on to another message that's just come through from Tejal Kunti. Tejal Kunti is saying, is a celebrant the same as a priest? You're not. No. But I'm not going to answer that. You can say, yeah.
They're not. So in the UK, and I'm going to talk about the UK, so apologies if there's anyone who's tuning in from anywhere else. So in the UK, the law states that you must have a legal marriage. And the legal marriage currently can only be done by a registrar, whether that's at the registry office or a licensed venue.
Yeah.
After that, so that's the marriage. After that, you have the ceremony. So the ceremony can be by a vicar, it can be by a priest, it can be by an imam, so it can be by a religious person. However, there are a lot of people now who are not religious and they're more spiritual. Yeah. They may do things because, Ma and Masi told them they have to do it that way, but actually deep down, they're not religious, and they don't want to do things in the religious way. So this is where a celebrant can come in and support them. So we'll do a ceremony that's personalised. So let's just say, Ricky Ben, you're my example, and you met Mr. X, and he proposed to you in Centre Parks. Lovely woodland.
I'm killing me if he did, but yeah. My answer would be no. Take me somewhere better, but yeah. Yeah.
So as a celebrant, we can conduct a ceremony anywhere. In Centre Parks, in your back garden, where you had your first date. It can be, it doesn't have to be a licensed venue, it can be absolutely anywhere.
Sure.
Where the interesting part comes in is, and it's lovely to have Ravi Bayon, is that in the role of a priest, it's a religious wedding according to our religious learnings.
Yeah.
A celebrant like myself, who's Hindu Brahmin, will have been brought up with them.
Yeah.
But if a couple doesn't want it in a religious way, but they want it more spiritual, we can translate things into a more spiritual way. For example, if somebody doesn't want to have the holy fire and do the four fera, they can have a clear bowl with all the earth, the air, the petals, and they can walk around and they can put in one of those lighted candles, the flame candles. So there are ways to still do it, but without the religious element. Now, some people don't like that, don't like the fact that celebrants can do that. And it's not just with the Hindu culture, it's with, the Christian culture, the Islamic, the Sikh. We can bring in all of those elements into it. But I believe it's choice. It's down to the couple and what they want.
Sure. And you can make it more personal, can't you? It could be more bespoke based on them. So if they want maybe a little bit of a Ganesh Puja or just maybe a few mantras, you can put together the ceremony so it's more based on what they want rather than having a structured Fera ceremony. Is that right?
That's exactly how it is. So, if they want to have the Gayatri Mantra sung, then I can sing that for them. If they want to have, if they want to, the part that I love about celebrant weddings is the personal vows. They write their own vows. I promise to, I will always, Priti Ben might write, I promise to always clean up the dressing table from my face powder. And so-and-so might say, I promise to always take the dogs out for a walk. You can make it as romantic, as humorous. It's personal to each of them. It's personal. And like, for example, there was one couple where she loved cats. So in her vows, it was a surprise. They hadn't told each other. So it was surprise vows. So she said, I promise that you will let me have cats. And the look on his face was like, what? I don't want a cat. I love it because I get them to write their vows separately. So it's a real surprise on the day. And like one couple, it was so beautiful because she was actually pregnant and she hadn't told anyone. So one of her on the day was, I promise to look after our child who's coming in 5 months' time. And just everyone was in tears because nobody knew. Tears of excitement, of course. Nobody knew. That's why it's so personalised and bespoke. It's such a lovely feeling, honestly, Priti Ben. It's just like,
No, absolutely. I'm sure. I'm gonna go back to an additional question then from Sejal Kunti, who's saying, wow, you two ladies sound very, very experienced. I'm definitely going to be booking you both for my forthcoming wedding. Please do. You know where to get in touch with us. Of course, we'll be giving out details of, you will have seen Sonal Ben's details appear on the social media posts that we've been posting, but we will give them out at the end. And of course, you'll know mine because you're joining me live. I'm just going to go back to some of the questions that are coming up on the screen. We have Samir Bhatt joining us from Italy. He's saying, very interesting topic. Thanks, Prithviben and Sonoji. It's my pleasure to have lots of information about weddings. Keep sharing your experience. Dharmesh Mistry saying, I've not experienced any Punjabi weddings willing to do this. I think you. I bet you have. I bet you have done a few Punjabi weddings, because I've certainly worked at Punjabi weddings where there has been a celebrant and a toastmaster there. So I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah, I did a beautiful wedding. She was a Punjabi girl and she married an Italian guy. And we had a beautiful bespoke marriage, wedding ceremony, should I say. And the uncle actually recited a poem that he had written in Punjabi. And one of the aunties said something that she'd written in Italian. So we were able to make sure everyone understood what was going on. And we had a live gospel choir, and it was lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. So there you go, Dharmesh. Never say never. You probably haven't experienced it, but we certainly have. And of course, the role of a celebrant at Punjabi weddings or even in interfaith weddings, it's actually very beautiful the way Sonal Ben has just described it, because I've certainly experienced that myself when I've been part of an interfaith marriage where I've been helping plan the wedding. And those interfaith marriages are absolutely beautiful when two cultures come together, because it's actually a celebration of both cultures coming together, and that's what married life is all about. The coming together of two souls.
Definitely, and in fact, with all my weddings from this year that were postponed to next year, and all the weddings that were already in the diary for next year, they're either same faith, multi-faith, LGBTQ. So it just shows that anyone, doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't even matter, if you've been divorced and been lucky to find a new soul to join your family. Yeah, absolutely. There's no barriers. There's no barriers.
And things are changing, aren't they? I mean, just going back maybe about, say, 10 years ago, we used to, or not so much we, but the society used to point fingers at anybody that used to get married kind of outside of the community, so into community marriages or caste marriages, let alone getting married outside of religion. And now, that's become socially accepted, as well as, you just, talked about the LGBTQ community. And of course, a couple of weeks ago, we had the beautiful Khyati and Nav on the show as well, who came in to talk about their experience. And you're a toastmaster at their wedding, weren't you?
I was, and it was absolutely amazing. And I just want to touch on what you were just saying there, Prithviben, about how we need to drop these barriers and things.
Absolutely.
As I said, I got married in my 40s. My husband is half Irish, half Indian. His mum's from Trinidad, his dad's from Ireland, and my husband's 14 years younger than me. And it's amazing when a celebrity does it. Yeah. It's all in the papers and everything, but hold on, I did it in 2013. Put me in the papers and tell everyone, there are no barriers. It's all about finding that connection, finding that person that just gets you. And when that, doesn't matter how old or young they are, or fat or slim, or what culture they come from.
Doesn't matter.
And I know when I got married, I had, a number of people who were just like, Sonal Ben, Tame Brahmin Cho, Abadu Nakarai. And I was like, who said you can't do this? 7 years
it's whatever feels right, and it's all about love. We again, a couple of weeks ago, I had Nick Palmer joining me here, and we were talking about the Mangal Sutra, the importance of a Mangal Sutra. He was talking about men wearing Mangal Sutras, but he went quite deep in terms of, if you see a lot of the Hindu deities, they're wearing lots of ornaments, they wear lots of jewelry, they wear big earrings. The gods, Krishna Bhagwan, you see, wears nice big earrings and lots of nice garlands. Ram Bhagwan, Shiv Bhagwan. And we went into that saying, actually, what has changed from before is people's perceptions, and it's people pointing fingers. So good on you as well. I'm really happy that you've just actually spoken about the fact that, you know, you got married in your 40s, and the fact that your husband is younger than you. Good on you is all I can say, because not many people talk about that either. And, you know, people would say, Atojo, Hali Nikrish, like you just said. But you know what? Times have changed, and we've got to embrace that. Because if you're going to sit back and continue to, you know, gossip, and Sonal, and, you know, you often tune in into my radio programs as well, and you know the kind of things I come out with, you know the topics I come out with, and I'm really trying hard to change those perceptions. And we all do have to come together to do that. You know, we have Sagar Vyas, a very warm welcome to Sagar Vyas. Sagar, I think you too are a wedding planner in London. I think Sonal, you may know him. I think you are, Sagar, and it's lovely for you to join us. And you're saying, hi, Sonal and Priti, thank you for taking the time to do this live for everyone. We should all be working together as collectively, as a collective, especially during this difficult period. Absolutely, Sagar. For me, I mean, you know, I don't compete with anyone. I wouldn't have had Sonal Ben here. For me, you've seen the kind of everybody that I'm getting on my show, because we are all in it together. The events industry at the moment is suffering big time. And I believe that, you know, out there's enough work for everybody. And if, in fact, all it is giving people a choice. If I don't embrace the services you provide, then actually that's my loss, because I would love to work with you, Sonal Ben, and of course you too, Sagar, because the more of us there is, the merrier we can make any function, and the better. You know, somebody may not want me, they may want Sagar, or they may want Sonal Ben, or they may want all three of us, and I'm sure that we can, you know, find roles for all of us. And no, you're absolutely right, Sagar, and thank you for joining us. Samir, your once again, he's also a wedding planner from Italy who I work with. Samir and I have done, what, about 30 weddings together, and I absolutely love working with him. Before lockdown, we had 3 weddings in Italy, and just before lockdown, literally just before lockdown, so the Bollywood singers that have been on my show, they actually flew, would you believe, Sonal Ben, from Mumbai to Heathrow, and literally had to go back on the next flight because they were going. I was meeting them at Heathrow to travel to Italy so that we can deliver a big wedding. Unfortunately, you know, we were unable to do that because of the lockdown. But you know, things haven't been cancelled. Things have just been postponed. So watch this space. And thank you again, Sagar. You're saying well said, pretty spot on. Absolutely. You know, I as you can tell, I need to shut up. This isn't about me today. This is about Sonal. Sonal Ben, tell me off. This is not about me. This is about all of us.
Let me pick up on some of something Sagar has said and something that you said. I totally agree that, you know, there is work for all of us. Sagar is definitely a planner, and he's also a DJ as well. And I've known Sagar for too many years. Too many years. And he's an absolutely wonderful, lovely soul. Get him off the dance floor, though. Just keep him behind the decks is where I would say. But the other thing I want to pick up on, apart from that, there is space for all of us, and there are events happening across the globe. But also, I think another thing, coming back to the communication, and Ravi, maybe you can pick this up on, you know, when you're next on, is the difference between religion and culture. Yeah. And I think this is where communication just needs to happen, because what's happened over the centuries, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that Chinese whispers has turned religion into culture. And this is where I'm really strong in my communication. You know, you can wash your hair on a Wednesday. It's not going to make your brother. You know, it's okay to do the nails on Saturday. You know, whatever it is that you've been, you know, question, ask where, why can't I do this? Show me where it is in the Ramayana or the holy books or whatever it is, you know, that you're telling me. And this is where each and every one of us, communication is so important, because what's happening is it's all just sort of floating down the sieve and just becoming a bigger Chinese whisper.
Yeah.
So now the new generation don't actually know what's what. So what are they doing? They're just choosing to ignore it. If we ignore it and we don't do it, then it will be all right. But actually, some of it's good and some of it's real.
Yeah, and it's whatever the couples relate to, I guess. And in fact, you just spoke about Ravi Shastri. In fact, Ravi Shastri and myself were talking in the week because we've got a wedding next year in Marbella, and and actually he's spot on in terms of his vidhi as well, the Hindu vidhi that Shastri that conducts. And he tries to explain, because we were both on a call with the couple, on a Zoom call. The couple were very anxious. I mean, they asked if Shastriji can do a ceremony just in 20 minutes, and he was like, look, if you want a ceremony just in 20 minutes, maybe you don't need a Brahman Shastri to do that, because I could, the Ganesh Puja will probably just take me 20 minutes. But when he explained the importance of all the vidhis, that whole cultural thing was taken out. And he just said, but in 1 hour, 10 minutes, I can do your vidhi. So once he explained that, and once he explained the importance of that to the couple were, oh, okay, that's fine then. Shastriji, you carry on, and I said, the rest of it, don't worry about. We'll still party, we'll still put on a pool party for you, and the rest of everything that you want. But the religious part of it, if you're gonna have a religious ceremony, then do it properly. Or you have a choice of going to a celebrant like yourself and making it more bespoke, making it more personal.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's where people like Ravi Bai, myself, yourself, other planners, other people in the events industry just need to be so clear themselves. And what sometimes annoys me is when I'll be in a room of other suppliers and they don't actually know themselves, and they're trying to explain, and you're sitting there and you just want to sit there and just say, no, that's true.
Of course. Yeah, no, absolutely. We have another Brahman priest also joining us, Basmank Pai Mehta. In fact, he's going to be on the show next week. So very warm welcome to Basmank Pai. In fact, he's an astrologer. So for those of you that are joining me live, do tune in next week, because it will be absolutely amazing having Basmank Pai Mehta joining us. He looks at the couple's kundalis. So he looks at the astrological charts of the couple to ensure that they are compatible to be married. Obviously, that's a totally different topic to what you and I are talking about today, Sonal. But what Basman Pai is just saying is, people do not ask, and that is the problem. They do not ask about what's the religious side and what's the cultural side. Now, if you are a couple that is planning your wedding or is planning to get married, and you want a religious ceremony, I think it's absolutely essential for you to ask those questions. Otherwise, don't have a religious ceremony. Don't do it. Go for something with a celebrant. You don't need to have a religious ceremony, because if you don't believe in it, why do it to please others? Go and have a blessing at the church, mandir, gurdwara. Go and do that. But to just do it for the sake of pleasing others, if you don't feel it from inside, don't do it.
No, I agree. And that brings me nicely onto one of the things that we were talking about before, Brithy Ben, which is, people's perceptions for a wedding of, I must wear a white dress, I must have bridesmaids, and actually, with couples that I've been speaking to over the last couple of years, when I say to them, hey, why do you want to wear a white dress? Well, that's what you do, right? No, that's what you do. And actually, the white dress actually goes back to Queen Victoria. So Queen Victoria in the 1800s chose to wear a white dress when she got married to Prince Albert. Previous to that, the colour that everyone wore was red. Now, red goes quite well with what we do, what we have normally done, should I say, in the Hindu weddings. But because of Queen Victoria, wearing white in the 1800s, the white dress became the colour of choice. There's no religious significance behind it.
Yeah.
There's no cultural significance behind it.
Right.
There's no even fashion statement behind it. It was just something that Queen Victoria did, and then everyone decided, I must wear a white dress. I must wear a white dress, you know, for the registry. I must wear a white dress. So I want to bring up some of these myths that are happening in the Western world as well. So it's not just, you know, the you know, us focusing on the Asian world and saying things are right and wrong. So for example, bridesmen and groomsmen. So, you know, one of the questions as planners or celebrants will ask, oh, are you having any bridesmaids or groomsmen? And they'll be like, yeah, of course I am. But going back in history, and it's kind of back into ancient Rome times, there was a great belief about the evil spirits that were floating around. And so what would happen on the wedding day, they would have 10 witnesses. In fact, Roman law dictated that they should have 10 witnesses. And those 10 witnesses would all be wearing the same clothes as the bride. So that way they were trying to not let the evil spirit know who was the bride. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. But you know, what you're talking about the Roman Catholic times there, and you're talking about the royals, and that kind of, you know, that superstitious kind of behavior. You know, people still in the Indian community, Asian community, and we do, like, you know, we I mean, yourself as a celebrant, I'm sure you do weddings for all cultures, just like how I do. But some, you know, for some reason, everybody calls me the Asian, you know, luxury wedding planner. But we do weddings for all. But even in our culture, we have that, don't you? People say, "Ah, to kari vidya," or, you know, like practice kareche. And actually, Bespoke, I'm going to talk to you about that next week. That's just come to mind. I know we're talking about like the astrological charts, but actually that whole kari vidya, and I don't know if you've ever come across Sonal, Ben, but you know those little limbos, like you get the little lemons, don't you? Where, you know, like the bride looks so like amazing, and she looks so gorgeous and very, very pretty. And then she has to hide those little limbos in all the little private parts, which we won't go into right now, because, you know, this isn't about, about all that. But, you know, she's got to get one of these limbos and she's got to put it somewhere so that nobody, you know, so it'll be really good to touch up on that next week, Bespoke. So there you go. You've got a week to do your research. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but hey ho, you know, that will be an interesting topic, because I think some of these myths also need to be. I think we need to clear those myths to move forward in the current times that we're in, but also moving forward. You know, we've got to get rid of all the cultural stuff, and you look at what the couple want, and if it is a religious ceremony, then stick to that, or have the cultural part, or have something bespoke with the celebrant. I think, you know. So, Sonal, Ben, what has been the most memorable? What's been the most memorable kind of event that you've ever been involved in?
So there's so many, but I'm going to choose a non-wedding one, and the reason I'm choosing it is because of the venue. So the venue was the Old Bailey.
Yes.
And it was a civic event. So I was in my black tailcoat. And the event was, I can't say too much about the event, but I can say it was a very grand event. There were some very important people at this event. And we had to do an entrance. And there was mini me. For those of you who don't know, I'm 4'9". So there was mini me. There was a trumpeter and who did his little thing, and then I walked these people in. These people were all 6 foot and male, and so it just looked like this little mini person walking everyone into the Old Bailey to the top table. And just everything about that event, it was almost like as soon as they saw me pick up the mic, everyone just went quiet. Now, wouldn't it be great if we had that at Indian weddings? Everyone just went quiet straight away, and it was just grand. It was just,
Wow.
it was just a momentous occasion for me to be, because I would have never thought growing up that I would ever be in that position at such a prestigious venue, and being the person that, you know, was booked as the toastmaster for it. So
Yeah.
that would definitely be one of them.
Wow, how wonderful. Well done and good for you. Very, very happy for you. And what a privilege that must have been. And if you could be a Toastmaster for somebody famous, who would that be?
Do you know, it would be Oprah Winfrey, definitely.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
admire her so much. If you've ever read her book or read her history, the trouble she went through, the family troubles that she had to go through, the barriers she faced, the difficulties she's faced, and you look at her now and where she's got to, but she's still out there supporting others, supporting women, children, people from disadvantaged backgrounds, you know. So for me, it would definitely be somebody, it would be Oprah, because I admire her. Do you know, I admire everything about her. So yeah, Oprah, book me soon.
Yeah, well, hopefully she'll tune in, or maybe she'll watch she'll watch this chit chat with us, you know, because it is available on YouTube. It will be on YouTube forever and forever. So, you know, let's chat with Priti Rai Chura. Hopefully, Oprah, if you're listening, you know the lady to book. It's the wonderful Sonal. Though, if you need a Toastmaster, she's the one to book. I'm just going to, before we finish Sonal Ben, I'm just going to quickly go through all the messages. Pasman Pai is saying, Gali Vidya, I better look into that. I think you better. I'm not scaring you. You just do that in your own time. Of course, next week we are going to be speaking to Pasman Pai Sonal Ben, who's going to be talking to us about astrology. And he's also saying that the Gurjuru and Banadar were the traditional women's wear for the Indian community. You know, you just spoke about the royals wearing a white dress, but traditionally Gurjurus and Banadars, and I think people still have Gurjuras because you wear them after your wedding as well, don't you? So you wear it if you have a puja ceremony, so you wear a Gurjuru, which, yeah, I don't know if not many people have that anymore. They call it a bhari sari. You see, over time, even the terminology to describe a Gurjuru has changed. It's now called a bhari sari as opposed to a Gurjuru. Yeah.
And today, if you look at a lot of the girls today, it's not something they can wear. Do you know? It's like that one-off cost of the white dress. You know, one-off cost. You know, it's that kind of thing. And but it sits in the back of the cupboard. You know. Yeah. You know.
Absolutely. I know you're right.
And I think these
I got married 13 years ago, and I think I've ever only worn mine once. But hey ho.
I think there's probably a place in all of our cupboards at the back, you know, bathroom, where everything's put that we're never going to wear again.
We're never going to wear it. We just hold on to it. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have Samir but saying thank you so much for introducing me on your social media. You're very welcome. So Samir is also a wedding planner. Not to worry, Priti Ben. I am sure next year, yes, you know, we will be doing lots more weddings in Italy. Samir Bhai, in fact, he too is waiting for me. So as soon as this whole lockdown business is over, I need to get to Italy. I've already tried, but I can't take the risk right now because I don't want to come back and have to quarantine myself for 14 days. So Samir Bhai, just hold fire. I will be with you as soon as I can travel. I'm traveling over. I think if you look at some of my social media posts, I always put up, in fact, I put up something this morning when Samir and we went to go and see a venue in Italy, and I put some of those pictures up. And I always refer to Italy as my second home because it really is. It's my second home. I kind of hang out there at weekends. so next time I'm going to.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm happy to travel. I
was going to say next time, Sonal Ben, I'm taking you with me. I'm taking you. I was going to say in my suitcase, but I'm not going to take you in my suitcase. I'm going to take you as our celebrant to travel with us. I just want to say a huge thank you to you, Sonal Ben, for joining me here on the Let's Chat to Priti Rai Chura show. And for those people that are joining us and that would like your details, how can they contact you?
So there are a couple of ways of contacting me, and the easiest one is usually Facebook. So if you type in Sonal Dave 68, you will find me. Another way to find me, email, so easy, sonal@sonaldave.com. And I've also got a YouTube channel, so do have a look for me, Sonal Dave 68 on YouTube as well. And Bridie Ben, I hope it's okay for me to just say this, because I'm so excited today. And you know, sometimes you feel like
yes,
happened
please
for a reason. So Bridie Ben, we booked this date for me to come on, and I hadn't clocked at the time, but I realised this morning it's my 2-year work anniversary. So I have had my business for 2 years.
Yes, a huge congratulations. And in fact, I did have that in my notes here to congratulate you at the very start. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. So, you know, big congratulations. And, you know, I really hope that you carry on and pray that you carry on for many years to come. And I hope that I meet you very soon. In fact, Pasmat Bhai, a question for you. You know, please हमने जोई दे जो कि हुने सोनल Ben क्या रहा मैं मलवाना and in fact Pasmat Bhai Sonal Ben is saying it's in your interest to tune in next week. Maybe he'll do a reading for us and say when we are actually going to meet in person. I hope very soon. And so thank you to all those people.
And Bridie Ben, I'd just like to say to everyone who's tuning in now and watching after us as well, you know, Bridie Ben, myself, others, you know, we're here to help you, and we are here to support you. But the only way we can do that is if you reach out, and that is communicate with us. So however you choose to communicate with us, we're looking forward to hearing from you and help you as well. So Bridie Ben, once again, thank you so much. It's been I can't wait to just actually see you and give you a massive hug as opposed to a virtual hug.
Likewise. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to join me, and thank you to everyone that has been joining me here this afternoon. I'm sure you've all found it really informative. I certainly have. And you know, if you need to share this video, do share the video on your social media platforms. Lots of people are looking for different alternatives in different ways of getting married. So, you know, do tune in, do share the video as widely as possible. I'll be back again next week, again on Sunday at 3 p.m. and we're going to be talking to astrologer Pasmat Bhai Mehta, who's obviously joining us here today as well. So from me, Priti Raichura, and Sonal Ben Dave, a very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Sonal Ben, and I will catch up with you real soon. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Bye.